Today I'm going to be restoring a bunch of my truck's trim, including the taillight trim, door handles, and the windshield trim, and then I'm also going to redo the front bumper and the front grille. So, without further ado, let's get into it. As you can see, a lot of the plastics on my truck are extremely faded, which is to be expected because it's 32 years old, and the painted plastic taillight trim is chipping. The grille and bumper really aren't good either. The bumper has a lot of dings and marks, and the grille has faded to blue. Out of all of it though, the windshield trim is definitely the worst. One of the previous owners spray painted over it with what looks like zero prep work, and it started to rust and chip off. So it's time to take out the taillight and separate the trim. I'm going to start sanding the taillight trim so that the paint will adhere better. I'm going to start with a 150 grit sandpaper, and then I'm going to move up to a 220. Now that everything's prepped, I'm going to hit it with some satin black spray paint, and then we should be good. Let the paint dry for a bit, so now it's time for the second coat. Everything came out pretty good after the final coat dried. I mean, there's a few imperfections, like there's some scratches over here, which I didn't see before painting. And then I accidentally sprayed too much here. I'm not sure if it's going to show up well, but there's a little bit of a blob, which I might try and get rid of in a bit. But overall, I'm going to say not too bad. The refreshed taillight trim is now in, and it looks much better. Next up to address is going to be the windshield trim. One of the corners is actually kind of coming off, and that's because the clips are a little bit old and fatigued, and so they don't stay in place anymore. So I got new clips. I'm also going to be repainting it black because the chrome is probably too far gone with how rusty it is to get it back to like a factory condition. And it's kind of weird having only a single chrome piece of trim on the truck. So let's do that. For this piece, I'm going to start with a 150 grit sandpaper. I'm going to move up to a 220, and then if needed, maybe a 320. So here's all the finished products. They're not perfect by any means. I also spray painted the wipers while I was doing everything because I felt it looked better than the rust that was on there. Not everything came out perfectly, which is to be expected, honestly, and there's a lot of pitting on just about everything. I'm not sure how well you'll see that if it'll focus, but that's just from the rust, and that would take a lot of work to get rid of. And at that point, I would rather just buy new trim, at which point I might not even paint it. So I think overall came out okay. It's better than what was on there, and that's as much as I needed. I'm gonna put new clips on everything, and then it should be good to go back on. So when it comes to the front end of the truck, I've decided I'm going to use a rubbing compound on the grille and on the bumper. You can already see where I've used rubbing compound here, here, and then over here. And then for the bumper corners and for the front valance, I'm going to end up using some Cerakote because those are textured plastics, and this is a smooth plastic, and then paint. So I washed this off. use detailing brushes, just a normal car shampoo, and then I'm gonna just use a rag with some rubbing compound and then get one half done, see the difference, and then I'm gonna finish the other half, and that should be all for this section of the truck. So I'm not sure how well you can tell, but the grill has faded after a couple days of sitting outside. It's pretty obvious here where it's been in the sun the most. So while I do the corners and the valance, I'm also going to do the grill. And then I'm also going to go over and I'm going to do the mirror trim here. And then I'm going to do both of the door handles. I'm also going to tape off any points where the plastic is next to paint, like right here. I'm not sure if it's going to cause any problems, but I'd rather be safe than sorry if I get Cerakote on the paint. So it's the next day from when I put on the Cerakote, and honestly, it looks fantastic. And as far as I can tell from what other people have made videos on this with, it should last for at least a few years here. And then it's not really difficult to apply, so it's not really bad at all. I mean, it just looks completely different. It looks basically brand new, and I have to say I highly recommend it. And that's all for the video. If you want to watch me install a Weber carburetor on my truck, you can click up there. And then if you want to watch what YouTube thinks you want to watch, you can click down there. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.